Keith Christopher Rowley driving the vehicle. The vehicle is Trinidad and Tobago. Sitting in the passenger seat next to him is Stuart Small Pin Young, his navigator. They're in the rally to save Trinidad and Tobago pre-pandemic. They're trying to see if they can chart the future of Trinidad and Tobago. The economic pressures are real. The incompetence is real. The NGC gas price, the energy sector is collapsing. There is a non-existent agricultural sector. He has chosen a cabinet of no brains. But here is Rowley showing off and laughing at the country as the country goes downwards. He is speeding towards Noel Garcia, A.A. Kwamina, Newman George, and all the power brokers, the recusal twins. In the backseat, you can hear giggling like a donkey is Faris Al-Rawi a la tight pants. He can't sit in the front seat because he could not bend his knees so much. The pants is so tight. And here comes Rowley showing his skill. Oh, he's tight. Al-Rawi tried to warn him. He's taken the corner, and the entire economy, the entire republic of Trinidad and Tobago has crashed. Oh my goodness, you are so dwarfish. This is you. What an idiot Rowley is. He's speeding up that corner. Could not take it. Did not have the skill to pull the handbrake. Could not slide around the corner. Nearly killed all his friends, all his colleagues, and took everybody down with him. Rowley, the most idiotic driver in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. douglAR Politics, Friday night, 7:30 p.m.
Politics. This is douglAR Politics, yo. douglAR Politics. Listen, douglAR Politics, yeah. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics, yeah. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics, yo. douglAR Politics.
Evening and welcome to douglAR Politics on a rainy day. I hope you're not in flood, landslip, traffic. My goodness, nothing working in this country. On top of that, we might have to thank God for the rain, because every single element, every single department of Trinidad and Tobago is under-resourced, understaffed, whether it's lifeguards, police, equipment, coast guard, across the board, air guard, no planes, no helicopters, no border patrol, patrol squad. They cutting ribbon to open mailbox. Even our firemen, still, this has been going on for 5 years. Firemen have been meeting and begging Rowley, Small Pin, and now Ethelbert for resources. You all think it's joke? Listen to this fireman there, and listen to what sort of danger we, the citizens, are in because of the incompetence of Rowley. It's not funny. Listen.
And all we have is 4 sets. When we have 354 fire officers attached to the Tobago division, imagine that. What we ideally should have, we should have no less than 200 to 300 breathing apparatus sets in Tobago, so that each fire officer should be able to have a set personal to himself that he can maintain and be able to respond in this type of environment. Aside from that, adding issue of appliances, we need new appliances. We still have several fire stations that across Trinidad and Tobago remain without an appliance and unable to respond to the public as we speak.
Mr. Robinson, is it a question of...
What happens here? I want the man to talk. Imagine in Tobago, breathing apparatus, they don't have enough for firefighters. So if them going to fight fire, man had to share breathing apparatus in a pandemic. That's how brilliant Keith Rowley and the PNM, and they go on Tobago to have retreat, the Mamagai Tobagonians, because the election coming. All of a sudden, all of them go on to Tobago. Well, in the business day, they say drive electric cars. Very interesting. Electric cars, car dealers hit the highway of renewable energy. These initiatives could have been the reason why the Prime Minister in mid-August warned that Trinidad and Tobago may not be able to depend on oil and gas revenue soon and would have to diversify the economy. No, that's not why. The world has been moving to renewable right through. Last year's budget a year ago, Keith Rowley and Coleman but came and removed the tax incentives, removed the brakes, so for you to be able to buy electric cars, making them even more expensive and out of the reach, stating that they had to save US dollars and stop the US dollar drain. So don't talk no nonsense. Rowley didn't talk about the oil and gas sector diminishing because of renewable energy. He knows that he and Smallpin and his management of the oil and gas sector in Trinidad and Tobago has brought about its total and complete collapse. Not the normal system in the world that we know we're moving towards renewable energy. Everybody know that. But nobody knew that Rowley, a big dance, will take Smallpin up to Houston, negotiate a gas price that crashed the entire gas industry, crashed Point Lisas, and bringing about more pressure for Trinidad and Tobago. So the Ministry of Planning as well, in an attempt to meet the goals which would allow Trinidad and Tobago to do its part in taking the world to net zero carbon emissions, have put plans in place to increase penetration of electric vehicles. This is in Business Day, News Day. Why do they lie? Just last year's budget, go and read it. Coleman but came in the Parliament and the Senate and removed the incentives from people, from citizens, to go to electric cars. Then ball in the Ministry of Planning. You see, they just come here and give you misinformation. Kamala accuses Prime Minister of taking bogus credit for schools started by the People's Partnership. That's what I was trying to tell you all. Rowley went to the media 4 years ago and say, ask Kamala and ask Tim Gopi, say what 106 schools them build. Go and ask them where these schools. When the media asked Tim Gopi Singh, come and show you 106 names, places, schools completed, ribbon cutting with Kamala Prasad Bisesa, even down in Rowley constituency where he never built nothing for the people down in Carnage. The media didn't go back and say, but Rowley, we find the 106 schools. But on top of those 106 schools, Tim Gopi Singh also gave you all information of about 62 schools that were in various levels of completion coming up to September 2015. Some were up at 92% complete, some at 45%. Rowley and them, after 6 years, as Kamala says, that's right, the Malabar Government Primary School, the Samoa Government School Primary School, and the Chatham Government Primary School started under my government, said Kamala. And Rowley and the Newsday trying to take props now. Here the Newsday. Oh, these things, this infrastructure is so great. It must have taken a lot of planning, creativity, and hard work to get done. Yes, by Kamala and the UNC. Roger say, Roger say, expect many hardships in the upcoming budget. Roger, really? Greater hardships than every single member of your union employed at Petrotrin, the refinery, both fully paid workers and temporary or daily paid workers, 11,369 workers getting fired, obliterated, and out of work for the last 3.5 years. You mean you could find something in your portfolio, in your job specs, in your life, you as a labor leader, that could be more hardship than your entire union getting fired from Petrotrin and then getting mama guy, have you begging 4 times and like a little girl begging, please come please, could I have refinery please? No boy, get out of here. And you're going back, oh gosh, don't shout and buff me, could I have it please? Roger, it could have more hardship than that. Hey, Archie, let me hear Roger about the hardship now. Let me lean to the left. Roger, come in, boy.
Let us be honest, comrades. It is like every time a PNM government in office, the places just get hard and everything bad. Rain refused to fall. When it fall in bucket, a drop. Pothole all over the place. You no longer have pothole, you have crater in the road. If you miss one, the next one take you. It seems that the place is going backward under a backward PNM government and under a backward Prime Minister called Dr. Keith Rowley. Let us recognize that. Absolutely no ideas. Let's be honest, man. Let's be honest. Absolutely no ideas at all. You have one man short on ideas and everything else running the government because Rowley don't know his head, something else from his elbow. Yeah, he don't know. So he listens to a short midget, a misfit, who seeks the interests of the 1%.
Roger, but you put them there, Roger. You say Kamla, who had all your workers working, who negotiated 145 collective bargaining agreements that were left there since 2002, down to Hilton workers, domestic workers and so on, were operating in 2011, 2012 with 2002 salaries. Under a boom in the PNM 2004, the PNM told you and the labor force, labor unions, tighten all your belt when oil was up at $140 per barrel US and gas was up at 1359 MMBTU. Roger, you come and you take a mannequin, a Kamla, and drag she through the street while all your people, all your workers were working, Roger. But it's you have Rowley Day, it's you hug up Rowley Day, it's you kiss Rowley Day, and now you know Rowley Day and the Duende and everybody short and so on. Roger, lean to the left and ride out now, boy. And my other brother, unionists, government must do more for laid off workers. Despite the pandemic, the government must do more to get workers back into decent jobs and must get a better relationship with the labor movement. Communication Workers Union General Secretary Clyde Elder told Newsday on Wednesday, but yes, Clyde, but when all you put anti-labor movement government day, all you put them in power because all you're playing games, all you're playing politics, you're playing race games, politics games, PNM games, whatever games all you're playing. Because it clearly could not be that you and your unions and labor said, listen, who respect labor more, Kamla or Rowley? Because Kamla settled negotiation, Kamla gave increases, Kamla gave bonuses, so much so that Rowley come and cuss Kamla and say, but how dare you pay all that money to workers and so on. You all then decided to go and support Rowley. Now that Rowley Day, you say now, you want the government to listen to labor? Mr. Elder, with all due respect, I'm not understanding. I really not understand. You need to explain to me a little bit, because in Kamla government had people like Rudal Munilal, had Errol McLeod, had people like me who love labor, who in for labor, who fight for labor. Rowley have imbot, small pin, tight pants Al Rawi, Rohan Sinan, Andrew Gabriel. Who like labor? Who is labor? Richard Young, Angus Young, and all you put that. So now you could talk and beg and do what you want, but nothing happening. Everybody, this is the worst period for labor in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Even the colonial masters were better. So I don't know who you talking to. You really feel Rowley going to listen to y'all? But what can I say? I'm sorry for all you. Now, and let me tell you something. I must give Jack the jacket and Jim the gym boots. Mr. Sabga of Ansa Makal, Sabga Norman and son. I did a little thing and I asked y'all. First of all, I congratulated y'all because as businessmen, as a corporation, Ansa Makal is brilliant. You have done well, made Trinidad and Tobago proud. We're proud of all you. We're proud that you can excel at the top of the world. We want you all to expand. You said you're going to expand and so on. But then I asked you all some questions. But it looks like you may have listened. And to me, that's very important, especially when people big like all you, have plenty money like all you, big boys and so on. Your ears are kind of clogged. So it appears that the Sabgas of Ansa Makal, because I complained vehemently and I have been doing so about their Guardian Media Limited. Now that's not a big segment of their business portfolio. If they break even or lost money, Guardian Media Limited, that's just there, right? That's not where they make their money. So the big boys may not be aware of the editorial position and what is going on with their newspaper. But all I could say, Archie, is that after I said that, I seen a little change, and I want to give Jack the jacket, and I want to say thank you. Archie, remind the people of what I said now. Go back and run the video. It was about 10-12 days ago sometime. Archie, run it. So to the Sabgas, to Mr. Sabga, Grandpapa Sabga, this Sabga, and the grandson Sabga. Well done. But let me ask you this. The same brilliance, efficiency, discipline, creativity, world-class product, world-class service that you expect from your group and from all your managers and employees and so on. How come you don't expect that for us as a country? How come you can accept Rowley and the PNM, their incompetence, their indiscipline, their lack of management, their lack of creativity, their lack of frugality, their poor investment, their poor marketing, their poor planning, their poor implementation? How come you accept that and support that for me and my citizens while you promote brilliance, discipline, creativity, implementation, management, teamwork for Answer Makal? I want y'all to answer. I'm reading the next version. I want y'all to tell me, because I'm not joking, I am proud of this. You are sons of the soil, Trinidad and Tobago, proud. But how come you can reach this level of height, of brilliance, but you leave for me, my children, my country, the low incompetence of Rowley and his government? How you justify that? Please explain to me. I'm willing to listen and learn and understand Mr. Sabga and Mr. Sabga. How? Because Rowley couldn't work for all you. Too lazy, too worthless, too dotish, not creative, can't manage, both no skill, no implementation, no budgeting, everything overruns, don't finish nothing. He could not work for y'all. Y'all would have fired he. So why are you encouraging and putting him on top of all of us? That cannot be right, Mr. Sabga and Mr. Sabga. But the answer on that is irrelevant. But I congratulate y'all on your company and how it's well managed and well run. You could try to get a newspaper to be a little bit, to promote journalism rather than stupidity. But the rest of all the things going good. Well, I must say, thank you, Mr. Sabga and Mr. Sabga, because I have seen a move towards journalism. I'll keep monitoring. It's a big hole. You have a big hill to climb because the Guardian took it so far back and are tired showing the people time and time again editorial position, choice of stories, burying stories, questions, columnists. But let me say that since that, September 1st, I see an article coming with some journalism, some fact-finding, some research. And then today, Friday, September 3rd, I seen investigative journalism, Guardian taking it, Express and Newsday getting left behind. So I just noticed an improvement. So I would say thank you. I hope it continues. So Mr. Sabga and Mr. Sabga, I don't know if you did. It might be fluke. The douglAR might be wrong. I might be looking and being optimistic. But I seeing some very important information coming out, because the population needs information when we deciding who to vote for, so that we don't end up with a Shamfa, so that we don't end up with a Rowley instead of a Kamla, so that we don't end up with a prime minister who does not like anybody, does not like black, brown, in between, so that we do not end up in a country that nothing works, that we drop on the competitive index from 66 under Kamla to 150 in the world, that our foreign reserves in US, that all you couldn't even get US, you didn't even have US to get vaccines to save our lives, the 351,000 Pfizer, that would not happen, that the economy would be well managed, that the airport COVID-19 response, that 1,300 people would not have died. These are very important things. So, to the Sabgas, I am seeing, first of all, unemployment, food prices, public debt on the rise. Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. Increased unemployment, rising public sector debt, and food prices were among some of the observations of the Central Bank Economic Bulletin. Normally, you would take this and you would shut it down, fling it out or look for some kind of mamagism from Alvinson Hilly, the PNM, Central Bank Governor, and so on. But today, I must say, to the Business Guardian, page 15, and ladies and gentlemen, pay very close attention to this. Because Trinidad and Tobago is a gas economy, not an oil economy, no. Oil economy changed since 2002 or so, when we moved from 100,000 barrels a day down to the PNM Coleman Butts, lack of management, lack of maintenance, down to 28,000 barrels a day. Now we up Heritage boasting that there are 36,000 barrels a day. It is gas, gas, gas. Trinidad and Tobago could have money to spend on services and so on because of gas now. Whether we have gas or no gas, Rowley don't spend the money on you because his policy is a new society where you have to wean yourself up to government, and he takes all his friends and family and close confidants, put them in charge of spending your money, procure without procurement, and spend your money and let it go where it will. So that's Rowley. Now, you all voted, some of you all voted for that. I'm not sure why, but that don't make sense. So we are a gas economy. Now, NGC made a loss for the first time under Keith Rowley and Smallpin when they came back from Houston after negotiating and completing a negotiation on a gas price. And Jerry Brooks immediately resigned from NGC, but he'll stay quiet because he's a PNM and a Balize Juice. So no matter what you know, you have to keep your secret. Right? Yeah, Cosa Nostra. Yeah, Rowley, you know it well. So Jerry Brooks resigned, Terrence Farrell resigned, but Denise Deming resigned. All these people resigned, but the Wasserman resigned. But don't tell me what the minister man was doing, how we know the man in the tan van. Don't tell me, man. Because PNM must stay quiet. Yes, and the country is brilliant for that. Yes, you all like that, right? But this, NGC, listen to this. Let me read it from the Guardian newspaper. NGC board wants personal indemnity. The company could lose hundreds of millions in ill-fated LNG deal. This is dealing with Train 1, Atlantic LNG. You all remember? All the experts, the shareholders, BP and Shell were saying, listen, that is old technology. We have no gas for that. The margins are too low. Not profitability is a loss maker. We directing our gas into more profitable areas. So it are no gas for that. But Rowley and the PNM, Smallpin and the PNM, Coleman Butt and the PNM decided to save face that them going to find some way to take over all of that, a la Malcolm Jones with the World GTL, when other people were supposed to put their money, share the risk and so on. Malcolm PNM Jones, as an executive chairman of Petrotrin, took all the decisions to take your money, invest it and lose it. And when Anand Ramlogan and Kamla was trying to get back and recoup your money, Rowley Alrawi and Stuart Smallpin, who was Malcolm Jones' lawyer, pulled the case out of court with a QC Nelson, who had been paid, who was suing the government for fees, but somehow he get the same amount in a settlement that he was suing for from Alrawi, to then give a one paragraph unsolicited advice to withdraw a case. They announced that they was going to withdraw the case. The Privy Council, the law lords, could not believe. They scoffed and ridiculed and laughed at Trinidad and Tobago to see that we were so politically motivated that propriety didn't matter. That was the NGC. That was the Petrotrin. This is now NGC now. And it's similar to that because everybody knew, all experts knew, Atlantic LNG Train 1 not going anywhere. But those in charge, Rowley, Franklin Khan, deceased, and now Smallpin and the PNM cabinet say, nah, boy, we already shattered the gas sector. We already negotiated in Houston a terrible price, and 11 companies in Point Lisas have left and shut down. The steel industry with Mittal going earlier in 2017, we are in a total and complete mess. We shut down Petrotrin refinery. There's no patriotic. We have no buyers. We have nothing. It's buying scrap iron. We have to save face, political face. We cannot let the people know that we are just so completely stupid. So hear what? Conrad Anil, who's your daddy? Hear what? You all now, let me keep this thing going. Don't let Kamala and the UNC realize that we don't know what we're doing. Keep mama-guying people. Spend the taxpayers' money. Try to keep it going. Don't let it shut down. Don't let it mothball. It mightn't be working good, but keep doing it. But hear what happened now. In what could turn out to be a major scandal for the government and state-owned national gas company, NGC, Guardian Media has obtained confidential correspondence between Finance Minister Colm Imbot and the board of the NGC that showed the board seeking and Imbot agreeing to grant them personal protection against being held to account should the company lose over $440 million in an ill-fated attempt to save Atlantic LNG. Now understand what is taking place. The PNM has many different ways of thieving. Okay, the first way they thief, they got procurement legislation to thief. But then when Rowley come in, they procure without procurement. Then they only put friends and family. Noel Garcia in charge of building house, fire station, police station, airport, health center, hospital, stadium, and all houses in Trinidad and Tobago, plus refurbishing Red House, President's House, all of these things. So they put their friend and family, Newman George, AA Commoner, in charge of all your money to spend. The next way they like to do, they like ministers to procure. Ministers procure the Galleon's Passage, 120 million. When do you ever hear ministers procuring? Ministers supposed to stay as far away from suppliers as possible. Rowley and Smallpin go down to Australia and do a process, a tender process with Hostal and Incat. The ministers, the power brokers, making decisions to spend your money and then say, give me 2 cutlass vessels. So they keep it close in the family. Only certain people tendering and spending money. The next thing they're doing now, you could put it up. They now have a new way of thieving, the PNM method. Indemnify to thief. So hear this now. I'm just breaking it down for y'all. Because some of y'all just hear gas, energy, and feel it so complicated you have to be an engineer. No! There is a board. The board is thinking about making decisions on investment of your money, trying to make a profit for you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, using your resources. This is Mr. Lokwan. Leave you up, you know. I'm coming to deal with the Mark Lokwan. You're not answering question. You're a big boy, Lokwan. I have plenty question for you, especially. What's your relationship with Stuart Smallpin Young? How long you know him? How much talk you talk to him on the phone? All you lime together? All you ever drink and lime down the islands together? How good are you with Smallpin? That's just one question. I have about 20 more. But leave him there. Because this man and his board, the board which is headed by Conrad Enil, and remember Wade Mark asking Conrad Enil, but how you signing deal with Philip Julian? Is there any family relationship? Who is your daddy, Conrad Enil? Because you look a lot like a certain czar. I find you look like Ken Julian, Conrad Enil. I don't know. Men are asking who's your daddy. So you're making deal and signing MOU with Future Energy, with hydrogen and thing with Philip Julian. Is there any relation? Or you're not answering. So Conrad Enil and the PNM board taking instructions from somebody powerful, right? You could move here now because I'm dealing with Rowley, Smallpin, and Imbot through he, because that Lokwan, he has a lot of questions. Guardian Media Limited asked him a lot of questions. He refused to answer. He put some corporate secretary to answer somebody. He don't want to tell us who is spending and does he have board approval for the communications budget and strategy that he has been spending for the last 5 years. Remember I telling all you, NGC making loss by opening full page ad, $40,000 full page to manage the structure and to place, and in 3 papers 120,000 in one day. When you lost $4 billion, you spending that to tell me the future is bright? Well, if the future bright, turn on the flipping light. Don't spend 120,000. But hear what they're doing now. Follow me. They're going to take a decision that they know they're going to lose money. Not their money, you know. Your money. They know that. So they want to protect themselves. So they come to the government and they ask Coleman, but well, if we go in and make that stupid decision I don't want, if Kamala and them come in, like when Malcolm Jones and them was there, that if a serious government with a serious attorney general come in and realize that we had information to show from all experts, we had no evidence that this investment would have borne fruit, and we went in and put the people's money and lost 400, 500, 600 million dollars. We don't want no next government coming after us. We have to protect we things. So we go do the dirty work. We will do the wrong thing. We will take the wrong decision. We will take the decision that will lose money, but make sure they can't come and take we thing. PNM have found a new way to thief billions. Indemnify corruption at NGC. Read that. Let me continue. At the center of the issue is the NGC and Keith Rowley administration trying to keep Atlantic LNG Train 1 operating in the face of BPTT and Royal Dutch Shell, both the largest shareholders of Atlantic Train 1 and the largest natural gas producers, saying they do not have natural gas to operate that Train 1. So experts, BPTT, the brightest, the best, them know the business inside out. Yes? Shell, they know the business inside out. They know Atlantic Train 1 is old technology and utilizes too much gas and therefore is not profitable and cannot compete with alternative uses. The opportunity cost is too great and therefore they cross off that investment, mothball, waste of time. They are the ones in this thing to make money. Follow me, the experts, BPTT. Now, where would you want to go with your money? Wouldn't you want to follow BPTT? Because them know how to make money. Them know them in the business. They have make billions and billions of profit across the globe. They know the business. If you had money to invest, wouldn't you listen to BPTT and their experts on what they're going to do? And also Shell? Yes or no? Royal Dutch Shell, would you listen to them? Well, not your government, not the PNM government, not Rowley, not Coleman, but not Conrad Inen, not Mark Loquan, not the PNM. The experts say, no, we done there. They're saying, take your money, pump it in to a dead rubber, to a non-entity that will not make money, that most likely you will lose. You have already lost 250 million. You stand to lose another 440 million. And they come into the government, listen, if all you want, we do that. Because you're all instructing me to do that. Come, sign a letter that we not responsible. That's what is taking place here. I'm breaking it down for all, So don't feel it no big technical thing, It is simply PNM have found a new way to thief billions. Indemnify corruption at NGC. So they're continuing. It must be remembered, this was initially happening in December last year and followed several other plants closing under the government's watch. Right? So the embarrassment. Rowley and Smallpin boasted. And we went to Houston. Remember when he crossed his foot in a conversation with you, the people, and he said, yes, NGC, we went to Houston, and that Smallpin, Stuart Young, was doing the negotiations previously, and he went to Houston, and he negotiated and came to a final price. And since that time, since that poor negotiation that increased per MMBTU by some 39 cents US, which made NGC's margins disappear, and NGC made losses for the first time in history. First year after Rowley and Smallpin negotiation, profits went down from 1.8 billion US to 320 million US. Then the second year, there was a loss of over 400 million US loss. And then this year, 4.2 billion TT lost by NGC because of Rowley and Smallpin and the PNM policy. Jerry Brooks resigned. Find Jerry Brooks and ask him why. So they continue. Now think about this also. So Point Lisa's 11 companies shut down. The steel industry had shut down Mittal. Rowley and them did not get involved. Other companies shutting down. Now you saw Petrotrin refinery shut down. I'm not closing down Petrotrin. And if you weren't listening and you're closing your fridge, government is not closing down Petrotrin. Bam! Bust throat. Oh yes, we giving Rosie and Patriotic. We turning labor union into investors and capital and business, venture capitalists and so on. Nothing. Nothing for them. So no refinery, no Petrotrin, nothing. They go and take your gas and give it to Nikwa now. It blow up. So everything in the gas sector gone through under the PNM. So they say, oh God, all not Atlantic train one need also now. Do whatever you have to do to keep that. Because, oh Lord, we looking dotish. The whole country realizing that we totally incompetent and we have no clue what we're doing. And we're losing money in the billions. Remember, the government under Rowley paid $64 million of your money for advice on Petrotrin. There was the Lashley report, the McKinley report, and the Solomon report, 3 reports. None of those experts said shut down Petrotrin. But Rowley ignored it, said the board told him to shut it down. The board chairman, Winfred Eswini, said no. The board never told Rowley to shut down Petrotrin. Rowley shut down Petrotrin after Kamla bust and let you all know that there was something going on about fake oil where Franklin Khan went and boast that in a certain area the production daily capacity went up by thousands of %. So Petrotrin shut down against advice. Now you have NGC, advice, BPTT, and Shell saying waste of time, mothball, move on. We have gas only for profitable thing. We not putting gas into dead rubber. But Rowley and NGC with Conrad Enel, PNM say no. We can't take the embarrassment. So take all your money and keep throwing it and flushing it down the toilet while you all have no grants. Your people foreclosing on your house. You have no food, no hampers, no job. COVID-19, they put in pandemic. Over 200,000 people lost their work. Roads collapsing, landslip, flooding. But he taking hundreds of millions of dollars to pump into something that dead so that he would not look like he would dead. And you all think this is funny. This is your money. This is your children's money. This is your future generation. They're getting 644 million US from the IMF. And who's in charge of that? These clowns who are now have their board members asking and requesting indemnity, which means that they know that they're taking a poor decision. They have information that the decision is bad. They are realizing that potentially they could be sued by another government who comes in and says that was irresponsible, that you did not uphold your fiduciary duty, and therefore you could be personally liable. Your house, your car, your business, your savings. Them go on to the government and say, if all you want us to do that nonsense, indemnify us. That's what's going on in here. Guardian Media Limited, brilliant. It must be remembered, this was initially happening in December last year and followed several other plants closing under the government's watch. Highly placed NGC sources say it was a risky strategy led by NGC CEO Mark Loquan. You could put it back up. Mark Loquan. I remember asking Mark Loquan, what's your story, boy? Why are you talking nonsense? Remember when even Frank Loquin was saying until 2022 we under pressure, we have to take the bunks because of the negotiated price from 2017 October with Rowley and Smallpin, and Frank Loquin could never be considered to be a UNC. And this man was trying to play games and shimmy-dimmy and say, yes, we're looking to move around and do this and do that, but he couldn't make sense of it. In a letter dated February 25th, 2021, and addressed to Finance Minister Coleman, but the board of the NGC said it had invested with Imbat's agreement US 24.7 million TT in a dead rubber, in a train that cannot be profitable, in a train in which experts say there are no gas for that, in a train with old technology, inefficient, that all the experts say mothball that, close that down, move on, make other decisions, use your gas wisely. With Imbat's agreement, US 24.7 million, in what it calls the ALNG Train 1 rescue package. You trying to rescue the PNM after they done drunk and swallowing salt water with seaweed. After they underwater, 10 minutes, you trying now with your money, with the taxpayer money, the PNM trying a rescue package to rescue a dead investment. And they wanted permission to spend another 40 million US. And some Akal could not even get 8 million US from the government to bring vaccine for we. 8.9 million US. This government going to pump after 24.7 million US loss. Another 40 million US. 272 million TT to the end of the year. That is this year. So them still spending that. They still spending that now. Your money. But your children can't get laptops, your children can't get food, school feeding, you can't get vaccine. You only now start a share Pfizer. With ALNG for the period April 1st, 2021 to December 31st. As previously indicated, both Shell and BPTT, these are the experts, the largest natural gas producers in the country. So they are in a partnership. So you have BPTT, brains, you have Shell, brains, and NGC, PNM dum-dums. The two brains say, listen, that dead, we're not investing no more our hard-earned money. We have shareholders, we have to make profit. If we don't make profit and we make bad decisions, we will lose we work because we in the private sector and shareholders don't play. Them is profit motive, them want to make money. So we not wasting, we scarce, brilliant, amazing dollars to go in that nonsense to throw away in the toilet. But NGC, come and take this. Who's your daddy? Conrad Inil, come and take your money. But they don't treat your money like how BPTT treat their money or how Shell treats their money. They treat your money with scant courtesy, and then the board members come into the government. Hey, boy, we're going to pelt away this money here, but give me a letter indemnifying us so we can't lose we own thing from making a bad decision. That's what's going on in this country. Aware of this and other risks, the NGC in the same letter dated February 25th, 2021 asked the Minister of Finance to indemnify its subsidiary company NGC LNG and the directors personally. So they want indemnification across the board for what they know to be an irresponsible, criminally negligent decision that in any investigation by intelligent people, whether an attorney general of the next government, that they will be liable for serious charges and serious fines and serious repercussions. So they want a get out of jail free card from those who instructing them to do the thing that could put them in trouble. Because the PNM have found a new way to thief billions, indemnify corruption at NGC. So gotten procurement legislation was not enough. Ministers procuring was not enough. Putting friend and family Noel Garcia with a huge bag coming out Massy stores was not enough. Them going to find a new way now. Now, I also want to ask, there were two board members who voted against this decision to invest this taxpayer money in this failing Train 1. Who were those two board members? And one of those board members has resigned, my information is. So I want the names of those two. The board requested indemnity, and this was granted. Was it granted by Coleman? But the newspaper is saying that this was granted Coleman, but you have to explain, right? Now, call me, but I want to talk to you now. Because you were going at Rowley, you were disagreeing with something. I want to know if you backpedal, call me, but did you backpedal? There was the HDC issue that the Sunshine brought about also. Reports out of the cabinet was that you were refusing to release money to waste taxpayers' money on certain things. Some were rumored to be HDC contractors and so on that were not value for money. I'm asking you, Coleman, but was this another one where you fell out with Rowley and Small Pin? Were you trying to protect the treasury, the people's money, Coleman? But I don't like you, Coleman, but if you were trying to, I am in full support of you. I respect you if you was doing that. If you're stopping the runaway train that is Rowley and Small Pin, Stuart Small Pin Young. Is that what was happening, Coleman? But and if so, why did you give up the fight if you did? Why does it seem that did you give approval to indemnify? Why would you do that? Why did you release the money? Why did you let them go with 24.7 million US and then another 40 million? Coleman, but actually run the video, because I want you all to remember, Coleman, but for one, I got reports in the cabinet. And I want clarification, what were the specific issues that he was arguing and stopping while Rowley was trying to impress upon him that he had to release money in a certain direction. Coleman but said no. Run it, if all you remember, run last week's show. Well, last week I made history and some of you all recorded, some of all you choke. You choke on your doubles that you was eating in the night because you keep it and freeze it and put it in the microwave while you was drinking your coffee. When all you heard me say, Coleman, but I respect you on this one. I tell all you I don't like Coleman, but at all. But recently I got reports from inside the cabinet that Coleman but is standing firm against the wishes of Keith Christopher Rowley, causing bacchanal, shouting, cuss out. Because Keith Christopher Rowley, it is alleged, wanted to ensure that some payments went to HDC. Remember I tell all of that? Some contractors. Well, look, Sunshine seemed to be getting the information. And who is this boy here? This is Rowley boy. Anytime he and Rowley line in, I just see one big bag. Me I know if it's cataract I have, I don't know what. I just see a big bag. One day I see him coming out Massey stores in Alice Glen and one big bag, and I swear I see Rowley name on it. This man. So Coleman, but it appears that the Sunshine have the story so calm on this aspect where you're trying to protect taxpayer money from overpricing, from overpressure, from overspending, protecting the people's money. Calm. I have never said this, and I know you probably since 1991. Coleman, but well done. And Coleman, but I'm asking you, is this another issue? Was it a multi-pronged issue? Was this NGC an issue? Was pressure brought to bear on you, Coleman, but were you trying to protect the people's money? Did you really give these board members indemnity? Did you indemnify them? What was the cabinet decision? Who instructed them to do this? Because this is very serious. Because no sensible human being would understand that BPTT and Shell analyzed down to the last cent on an investment going forward. Its efficacy, its margins, its opportunity cost, its actual profit, its gross profit, net profit, how they could make it, what they could do, and other means of utilizing gas. They do this down to science. They are amazing at it. And both of them say, as shareholders, we're not going with that. How does the NGC go against that? So our engineers, our chemical engineers, our professionals, our NGC employees are not as intelligent. How come they got it so wrong? Coleman, but you have to explain. Because in what could turn out to be a major scandal for the government and state-owned National Gas Company, NGC, Guardian Media has obtained confidential correspondence between Finance Minister Coleman and the board of the NGC that shows the board seeking and Imbert agreeing. This is the part, Imbert, did you really agree? Why did you agree? Were you forced to agree? Did the cabinet make you agree? Did you agree on your own? Coleman, serious thing, my serious thing, Coleman. To grant them personal protection against being held to account should the company lose over $440 million in an ill-fated attempt to save Atlantic LNG? And why is this? Why they want that personal indemnity? Because Malcolm Jones was the executive chairman of Petrotrin, and there were supposed to be other investors in the World GTL gas to liquids plant. And Malcolm Jones took it upon himself, when other investors could not provide or come up with capital, to take your taxpayer money and invest it. The country lost billions of dollars. Anand Ramlogan and Kamla Prasad Bisesa were going after Malcolm Jones and other board directors and so on. And also in other cases like UTT with Ken Julian, Bamboo Networks, they were going after them to get back your money because of irresponsible decisions that could have been proven to show that they should not have taken the money, that the money was lost, and for you to do that was criminally negligent. Stuart Smallpin Young was the lawyer for Malcolm Jones. Rowley lied on Emailgate and came in with Roger's support in 2015 September. And one of the first things that his government did was to appoint Malcolm Jones, the same Malcolm Jones, to an energy task force. And then they announced and signaled that they were going to drop the case against Malcolm Jones. And that Stuart Smallpin Young was in the office of the Attorney General. And after they withdrew it, and it was QC Nelson, a man who we have now learned later on received all fees, $10.2 million from Faris Al-Rawi and the PNM while he was suing for his fees. He all of a sudden, after writing a detailed analysis and moving forward with a case to recoup your money, billions of dollars, write a little one paragraph, unsolicited, to say that case mightn't win. All you don't worry that the chances of winning are very limited. The Privy Council law lords, you all have seen the video. They could not believe what was going on here in Trinidad and Tobago, that we in such a banana republic, that our government will change, and just so the public's interest would move down to zero and a case would be withdrawn. And not only that, costs were still paid, you know. So Stuart Smallpin Young, you have to ask Stuart Smallpin Young, how much fees did he get still from the withdrawal of the case against Malcolm Jones? How much was he paid as Malcolm Jones' lawyer? You know, Archie, you put up that day. I want you to play that for me. This was the Privy Council talking about that matter. And then Rowley and them went on. That wasn't enough. They pull out a case against Ken Julian, who might be Who's Your Daddy father. We want to know, we asking Conrad Enil, who's your daddy? Are you related to Philip Julian and this NGC board? And they pull out the case from Ken Julian, $31 million that was your money that was lost in an investment in Bamboo Networks, when a former PNM minister in the Ministry of Finance, Christine Sahadeo, said do not invest. They did due diligence and they said the company was not worthwhile and it would be throwing away money. They lost your money. Rowley and them come and pull Ken Julian and Malcolm Jones out of court. And you all say, great is the PNM, great is Rowley, let's eat a banana. Archie, do you have that video to play for me of the law lords? Yeah. Play it for me, man, Archie. Let the people hear about Trinidad and Tobago under Rowley, Al-Rawi, and Smallpin. Listen.
In all those, and then it's withdrawn and discontinued, and all the costs have to be paid. Isn't that the basis for saying we must please see the basis upon which Mr. Nelson cast his pessimism, which led to discontinuance?
Well, my lord, it depends upon what one is concerned with. The way it's put by the appellant in his affidavit is, well, it's necessary to allay suspicions. But to put it bluntly, as we do put it bluntly in our case, bluntly the suspicion is that there's been some sort of political interference in all of this, such that for purely political reasons the new government has decided, irrespective of the merits of the case, that it ought to be dropped.
Mr. Rowe, 2 days before this opinion was written, was a Minister of Communication for the new government saying that the case against Mr. Jones was heading for dismissal?
There's reference to that. May I just pick up the reference to that?
Yes, certainly.
Give me a sec. I don't think it's 2 days before that. I think it's actually a little longer before that, my lord. The advice from Mr. Nelson is dated the 11th of October.
Yes, I've got the Minister of Communications down as the 9th, but
Oh, no, you're quite
I may well be
no,
wrong.
my lord, you're quite right. It is the...
So what was the government, why was the government floating possible dismissal in advance of receiving this advice?
And here we go again. All experts, all intelligence, everybody knows, wasted money down the toilet, yet a government cabinet putting up. Who's that, board members? Wow. Yes, Archie, well done. Very interesting. Y'all people are very, y'all don't care about anyway. But just keep them running, keep them running. That is board members of NGC around with Conrad Enel. I wonder who resigned and who didn't resign. Which ones? I don't know. I waiting to hear from each and every one of you, starting from who's your daddy boy. I don't know you, but you're going to become famous. Next one, you going to become famous. You're smiling. Very funny. I don't know you, my lady. God bless. We'll find out who you are. Don't know you either. Don't know none of all you. Very nice. Very interesting. Move them, because them asking for indemnification when all experts say don't bother with that, don't waste gas with that, that's a loss, you're going to lose money. Hundreds of millions of dollars and children suffering. Children have no food, no sport money, no education. Children have no food, no laptop, no devices. Our places in a mess, infrastructure flooding, no agricultural plan, no program, no agro processing, no sport tourism, nothing. All right. Put up Mark Loquan there, because I have some questions with Mark Loquan. Because Malcolm Jones, your name might get, let me say how his song. Mark Loquan, Malcolm Jones, Mark Loquan, Malcolm Jones. I just getting a practicing now. A practicing because it look like you trying to go down there, Mark Loquan. Is your salary approximately with perks 200,000 US per month? I mean TT per month? Is that true? Mark Loquan, since you want to answer Guardian Media Limited question, let the douglAR say something. Are the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago are paying you approximately 200,000 TT per month? Yes or no? What is your relationship with Stuart Small Young? How long you know him? You ever met him? Did you ever meet him? Did you ever do anything with him? You line with him? You know him? How long you know him? Please let us know. How much was spent on the corporate communications in the last 6 years? How much money was spent by NGC under your tenure in corporate communications in the last 6 years? And please provide all approvals for this expenditure in corporate communications and strategy over the last 6 years from the board. Please provide all of that, right? But the PNM has found a new way. Indemnified to thief. Got in procurement wasn't enough. Who would gut procurement? Think about it. What sort of people will come? You have legislation that's not perfect, because no legislation is perfect, right? But you have a kind of strong procurement legislation. And the government of the day who's in charge of your money will come and weaken it, water it down. Why? To protect it? So you go unlock all your windows, take out the burglar proofing, take out the CCTV camera, leave your gate open, because you want to keep yourself safe, your family safe, and your material possessions safe. You will remove all of that security? Interesting, eh? On that note, we're going to take a short break. Mark Loquan, boy. I just feel to say Loquan, Malcolm Jones. Loquan, Michael. I don't know why. I just feel to practice those names flowing together. We're going to take a short break. Earlier, hey, support small business. People opening back, the suffering. The government did not protect small business, did not get out there to give any support, did not prevent banks from foreclosing and collecting mortgages and increasing interest, and they defer payments, but payments still wanted, rental still owed. Many businesses are out there suffering. So support small business. Masala Hut, 687-0782. Call now as you hear this. Call and order your soup for tomorrow, especially if you're in the Penal area around Ali Avenue and so on, all around in the southwest there. Call Masala Hut for your soup. We also have Archie. Run some ads now, 1 or 2 small businesses. We coming back right now.
Hot on 2.
And welcome back. Beatam sinkhole getting bigger, boy. Beatam, boy. 10,000 PNM votes. Fitzgerald Hines and them tell all the young black people in the Beatam, they don't want to sweat, but they want to go to heaven. They don't want to work, and all you give them 10,000 votes. Kareem Baird, a young black man from the United National Congress, come and said, could I please have an opportunity to try to serve you all, to try to get opportunities, sport, culture, education, reading, support, small business. Could I help? Could I help? My boy ain't get vote. All you choose at Talbot. Well, look, all you have a swimming pool in Beatam. Very good at Talbot. When you go down there, they go bathe you down in that. The central bank sees recovery by year end. Now, the whole report, and we will be dealing with that as the budget debate comes up, shows that Trinidad and Tobago is in dire straits economically on every aspect, macro, micro, across the board. Revenues, a deficit, debt to GDP, every facet, we in a mess. But the central bank governor, Alvin Hille, and I Kamala say he's a PNM stooge, come out to say that we see recovery by year end. Wow, Hille, you could be underwater without any oxygen 300 feet down and see the bright end of that situation, because you see a bubble. You see a bubble under the water. You out of oxygen, 300 feet underneath in the dark, cold water under the ocean. But you come to see positivity in the PNM. Gasparillo engineer using light against COVID. An engineer using light against COVID. Let's check this. As people search for ways to protect themselves from COVID-19, one company in Gasparillo is utilizing ultraviolet UV technology to assist in the fight against the deadly virus. Shivanan Nandal, owner of Ronan Engineering Services Limited, is using light technology to sanitize spaces. He says while this method is used in many countries worldwide, it is still relatively new in Trinidad and Tobago. He said, we must improve the quality of the air that we breathe and the cleanliness of the surfaces. There is no escaping that we are all at risk of contracting or spreading viruses and bacteria. Nanlal said UVC radiation is a known disinfectant for air, water, and surfaces that can... And the PNM laughed at Kamala. And you all laughed and listened to dotish people. Rowley, small pin, convent girl. Oh, they want to kill COVID with sunlight. When the half-life of COVID is 12 hours in the hot sun, in the sunlight, but 72 hours indoors in the mall, on the railings and so on. And UV light is being used to kill not only COVID-19, but all viruses and bacteria to cleanse your surfaces. And yet in this country, my beloved Trinidad and Tobago, where we supposed to be very bright, we let idiots like Rowley, Convangel, and Smallpin talk nonsense about sunlight and punching and security dome and dome builders. And you all vote for that. Now you all want to know why people need indemnity from stupidity? Senator Vera has a talk stupidity. Independent Senator Vera, haven't heard from you since you accused me of lying about my asthma and playing games to thwart a process of the Committee of Privilege, that I was faking asthma that I've had from life and all my children have it and so on. And COVID-19 is a very serious thing. As Senator Vera, you abject clown. Don't apologize, it's okay. You're a man of class. You can attack somebody else wrongfully. Come and say you read a report and you thought that Anil Roberts, Senator Roberts, was trying to thwart a process, a PNM process in a PNM-led Senate and a PNM Committee of Privilege by the PNM. You really feel I care about the PNM independent Senator Vera? But I see that you on some PNM boards. You didn't answer yet. How long are you still on that board? How long were you appointed on that board by the PNM, the People's National Movement? Well, let me just read something for you and show you here. Independent Senator Vera, your PNM friend and them put it in the paper, so it's not the douglAR. It's a PNM put this, right? Ministry of Health. Like Convent Girl and thing, you must be friend with Convent Girl and Al Rawi. Maybe you'll start to wear tight pants like him too. Well, they put this in the newspaper. Well, let's see what this is Anil have here, okay? Independent Senator Vera, who like to accuse people wrongfully and cannot apologize because you have no class, no big thing. Look at him, skinny plate. Do you have any of the following medical conditions? Page 6, Newsday, Section 8, Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. Then you are more likely to become severely ill from COVID-19. Diabetes, asthma. Asthma. I have asthma, COVID-19, Brazilian variant, people dying, infections multiplying, have to stay, doctor's advice. But Senator Vera doesn't ask about that, didn't get any medical reports, didn't do nothing, but come to the conclusion that I fake an asthma. Yes, Senator Vera? You don't feel like a big dunce now. You don't feel stupid. But come in here, Archie. Let's show him that Anil is not making it up now. This is a Ministry of Health document, right? Clear it up a little bit. It's a little blurry. You seen it good? The second one there says, asthma. Do you have any of the following medical conditions? And the second one is asthma. Go back. Okay, Senator Vera? Tobago ICU overfull. The CMOH, 423 active COVID-19 cases in Tobago. Tobago's COVID-19 intensive care unit is over capacity, says County Medical Officer of Health, Tobago, Dr. Tiffany Hoyt. Hoyt was given an update. She said the island now has 423 active COVID-19 cases after 6 new cases were reported overnight. And the death toll climbed to 67 in Tobago. You know why it climbed? You know how it climbed? You know what was responsible for that? Do you understand what was the problem in Tobago? Tobago was pristine. Tobago's CMOH and the doctors were handling the COVID-19 response brilliantly until one fool came and said this. One big idiot. Play the idiot.
The place to be is in Tobago. And I tell you, the best vacation you can have at home in Trinidad and Tobago is in Tobago. Go to Tobago if you want. The place to be is in Tobago. And I tell you, the best vacation you can have at home in Trinidad and Tobago is in Tobago. Go to Tobago if you want.
1,000 Trinis went across to Tobago with COVID-19 Brazilian variant infections, and they spread it all over Tobago. No mask, no extra police, on the instruction of Keith Christopher Rowley. Go to Tobago and nasty up the place. Go to Tobago and stink up the place. Go to Tobago and infect the place. That is Rowley for you. And now we go on there to Mamagai to have a retreat to tell Tobagonian vote for him. Why they don't take all the COVID and throw it up in the nose hole? That is what he did. And COVID is ravaging Tobago because of Rowley's stupidity and irresponsibility. And when you're talking criminal negligence, when Tim Gopi Singh and Kamla Prasad Biswas and the UNC called for a commission of inquiry into every death, now you understand why. The PNM has an uncanny way of celebrating stupidity. Remember, I was asking Mark Loquan, Malcolm Jones, what was all the expenditure on ads across the board, 40,000, 100,000, 200,000 in 3 papers, to tell us the future is bright with NGC when you're losing money? Well, look at the PNM. It looks like a PNM philosophy to celebrate stupidity. Imagine Donna Cox. Donna Cox and the Ministry of Social Development could spend $30,000 to put 2 full-page ads in each newspaper, multiplied by 3. $90,000 to tell us that their failure is, in their opinion, something that is good. The roadmap to recovery for people. People suffering, people starving, people can't get a pension check, people can't get nothing, no assistance. Donna Cox calling them greedy but needy. People grabbing up for hampers. The public sector, the private sector, people, they don't know what else to do. They're just giving out hampers every day. They don't even have. Ladies with parlors putting out a shelf for people most in need and saying, take what you need, please. Even though she and all these small businesses under pressure. But hear what they say. How they celebrate failure. Helping, empowering, transforming lives, the Ministry of Social Development. The roadmap to recovery mandate. 1, the recommendations from the committee are social protection mechanism to ensure that no one is left behind. Well, no one moved forward. Everybody left behind, so total failure. Retention and creation of jobs. Retention and creation of jobs. 103,000 people lost jobs before COVID. During COVID, another 120,000 people lost jobs. 44% of businesses shut down and will never open. Total failure. All you're spending money on failure to celebrate and put in your picture. Best you put your picture next to a commode. Maintenance of supply chains. What maintenance of supply chains? Every pharmacy, every store, every restaurant cannot have a full menu, cannot have a full stock. Everybody's out of stock, no variety, very limited. A good staying on the port an extra week, people paying demurrage, all kind of thing going on. And you talking about maintaining supply chain, agricultural products flood. We have no local industry. We have a food import bill, food price inflation going up. Now people have to pay for charges for them container. It used to be 3,200 US per container, is now 24,000 US per container. That all going to pass on to the consumers. We cannot get goods, no variety, no stock, and increased prices. Stagflation in the country. You paying $30,000 to mama guy people and boast about your failure. Boosting aggregate demand to trigger local economic activity. 200,000 people lost work. How can you boost aggregate demand? Aggregate demand is down, flat and low. We have diminished and the economy has shrunk by an average before COVID of 4%. During COVID, for this 18 months, we have shrunk by over 19 to 22% because we don't even get the real statistics. So Donna Cox, save me with that now. I always really believe this stupidness. Karapo residents protest for water. Yes, Donna Cox, they're doing good. The people can't get water. You talking about supply chain? You can't even supply water. So, where the minister man? Minister man, you studied man in van and tan van. Where the people water, minister man? All that makeup on your face. And you had water to wash up all that makeup? When the man was in the van and they had water in the windshield wiper, but people in Karapo protesting for there are no water. Diego Martin, the whole of Diego Martin, no water. The whole of Diego Martin, bush in the drain, bush all over. Diego Martin main road, it's like a forest in the drain. And that is Keith Christopher Rowley constituency and Colmimbat, 2 big minister, and Diego Martin looking like a cesspit. Another Papi Show probe. Hey, Archie, where my sinking vessel, man? You know I like water sports. Where my submarine? Another Papi Show probe, says the Express. The buck passing has already started with Works Minister Rohan Sinanan citing 2010 to 2015, the People's Partnership term in office as a period when a lot of vessels were not properly maintained. So Rohan Dotish PNM Sinanan say that boat sink in 2021 August because between 2010 and 2015, the UNC didn't maintain it. Really, Rohan? So what happened from 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021? What happened? You didn't do it? So Kamla, blame Kamla? Look, my car needed a service, but because COVID-19, it didn't get service. I went about 8,000 kilometers extra, but it gets service. It changed plugs, it changed this, it changed whatever filter and so on. So all things good now. Once you service, then you're serviced. You see? So if things were bad, if you say 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 14, we didn't service now the boats was working good. So we, the UNC, ain't service it, but the boat's working good and moving on time. But you say we didn't service it. Well, all right. But if you service it in 2015 October, then all of that before is negated. Because you correct everything, you fill out everything, you fix up everything. If you service it in 2016, 2017, 2018, then, you know, it's not a cumulative thing. You service, but here the Express. When the government should be doing, Minister Sinanan clearly believes this multi-million-dollar fiasco can be explained away by mere reference to the opposition, when what he should be doing is explaining to the public why the government failed to address the problem for all of 6 years. Correct. The opposition does not hear the Express. the Express now show Rohan Sinanan, hush your mouth now, stop talking stupidness. You in charge, you should have maintained the boats, that's your responsibility. Stop blaming Kamla. But here it is. The opposition does not get a free pass on this either. It must respond to Minister Sinanan's implication that it failed to ensure that the carnival runner was properly maintained. What nonsense are you talking about? The carnival runner was maintained. It was running brilliantly 2010 to 2015. You are the newspaper. You go and research. It was flowing seamlessly, working good. It was service. You are saying that the UNC must respond to Rohan lie? So it's also your position when Rowley come and say in email gate that these emails that weren't emails, that were not email addresses, that was nonsense, that when he come to say that, y'all do investigate. It's up to the opposition to say, but it's not emails. What nonsense is saying? And when we said that, y'all then went on media, Express, Guardian, Newsday, TV6, CNC3. Y'all then went on to say, well, it's the content. We had to check Google. How could something go up in a cloud if it was not an email address? It can't even enter the cloud because it does not exist. It does not go anywhere. But that's what y'all do. So you are saying the Express is saying that the opposition must respond to abject nonsense that Rohan stated after you all already realized that it's abject nonsense? Express, give me a chance now. Cabinet retreat begins in Tobago. All right. And actually, I confuse, you know. How many ministers they have in the government of Trinidad and Tobago under the PNM? About 23. How many other ministers, sub-cabinet and parliamentary secretaries and so on? How many senators? In the cabinet secretariat, how many people are over there to provide the ministers with service of their notes and so on? Normally it's about 5 or 6. So if you have 23 ministers plus some senators, 7 like 30, plus cabinet secretariat, another 5 or 6, 36, plus Rowley special branch and Minister of National Security and Attorney General special branch and so on, that another 12, you have that 42 in that little area and that room there and so on. How come all of them in one room so? I thought there's 5 people. I don't understand it. Are you all confused? Look at all of them. And how long did they stay in there? Because Rowley now announced that churches can open up, but it could only operate for 25%. So if you have a church of 100 people capacity, you could only allow 25 people into your church. And you can only talk about the Lord or Allah if you're in a mosque, or pundits in Hindu. If your capacity, you could only preach and talk about the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita, Bible, however you want to conduct your mass for 1 hour. So how come them 23 plus so much in the whole day? COVID don't go in the PNM. And them, the Prime Minister, was COVID positive. And he spread it already to 35 people. They had a minister who would have been there, except he dead. And they didn't tell me how he dead. But them going together in a room, that little room, air-conditioned room, indoors, all of them, that's okay? Okay, well then I'm going to ask all you something. If that's okay, I don't understand this. I'm reading from the Express, page 7, Friday, 3rd September. 27 detained in suspected curfew party. 27. Police are once again calling on citizens to obey regulations set out under the Public Health Ordinance, especially as it relates to the number of persons who are allowed to attend gatherings. Go back to your picture now, Archie. Because these people, 27 citizens, go back to the PNM retreat, because 27 citizens arrested, charged, going to have to pay whatever fine or lockup, because 27 is a big number, and the police are reminding people police are once again calling on citizens to obey regulations set out under the Public Health Ordinance, especially as it relates to the number of persons who are allowed to attend gatherings. What is that number? The last time I heard that number, it was 5. How many of them in that gathering? Where the police? Where the Babylon books? Where the Babylon books is causing disruption in my domestic affairs. You see why this country is a total joke? So people getting arrested. 27. But 23 plus secretariat, 25 of them in that room and coming in and out, and just outside our room, in our next room, have our next 12 or 13. And them in the whole day gathering. But people can't go and pray for more than an hour. And they could only go at 25% capacity. I don't understand. All you help me understand. So police saying monitor the gathering. Gathering is 5 people. And I more than 5, take away this one. Go back there. And I more than 5. And then in the same Tobago, COVID party crackdown, they say. Tobago's cops info reveals residents hosting fetes. Vow zero tolerance on breaches as cases rise. This in Tobago, the Tobago police say zero tolerance on breaches. So police in Tobago, where the zero tolerance? Look them breaching, look them gathering. The last time I checked, 23 is more than 5. Some of you all are stumped. That's the country we live in. What do you want me to say? Double murder in Glencoe. Glencoe is in the constituency of Keith Christopher Rowley. His main office that he's had there for 30 years of being the MP is on Lauket Road in Glencoe. Double murder in Glencoe. We are in a state of emergency. We are in a COVID-19 lockdown. We are in a pandemic war for 18 months. But yet there are 253 murders and counting. How is that? Shouldn't the state of emergency? Shouldn't the pandemic lockdown thwart criminal activity? Shouldn't the lack of businesses opening, the lack of cash in the system, all of these things, shouldn't crime be down at 0? Shouldn't crime be very low? When the People's Partnership and the UNC had a state of emergency for 3 months, and the murder rate was a paltry 340 or something. Y'all said we can't count that because the state of emergency reduced that and so on. We've been in state of emergency and lockdown for 18 months. Pure state of emergency with curfew for 112 days. Yet in the constituency of the Prime Minister, 2 murders, bam, bam, just like that. And he's not interested. He going to try to win election that the EBC create 3 extra seats for him to win in Tobago, to retreat. Very interesting. And on the killings in Glencoe, I see Dr. Terence Farrell. Maybe he lives in Glencoe. Dr. Terence Farrell, if you all don't remember, this is the guy, very intelligent guy, was chosen to head up the Economic Development Board of the PNM. But he resigned after about 18 or 20 months because everything he, with his intelligent self, recommended, Rowley, Smallpin, and the power brokers in the PNM ignored him and did not do anything. And they continued to collapse the economy, not diversify the economy, and waste money and take decisions that make no sense. So Terence Farrell resigned, but didn't tell us why. He kept it secret. But then when election come in August 2020, he jumped out and said, vote for Rowley, you know. See, I don't know why. Something clouds judgment. Because you working with a human being, and the human being is not taking your expert advice. The human being is wrecking the economy, shattering out your country, but yet you say vote for him. Why? He kind of look like Rowley, but you see what I'm telling you? When you all think race is more important than brain, sense, and policy, that's where we end up. But I was very interested. 2 men, unsurprisingly, of African descent, gunned down, not in some dark lane or trace after midnight, but on a main road at around 7 p.m., not in a known hotspot like Beetham, Maloney, Mova, or Enterprise, but in middle-class Glencoe, in an area traversed by high officials of the state. The nightly news had barely begun. Now, very interesting, high officials of the state, he means the Prime Minister. But isn't it ironic that this black man, who was in charge of the Economic Development Board of the so-called black government of the Black African Party, is so nonchalant and so dismissive and so disrespectful and so, I want to say, classist, that he is, in his mind, this shooting is different because it's middle-class area, not Beetham, not Maloney, not black people area, but the black government that these black areas vote for, and put you as the black man in charge of the Economic Development Board, who would have given strategies to the black Oreo Prime Minister, who ignored you, and your policies would have been able to improve the livelihoods and the opportunities of the poor black people in these black areas that you talk about, African descent, in like Beetham, Maloney, and Mova, or Enterprise. Rowley ignored you, exacerbated the social ills that promote crime, and you nonchalantly talking about it because you are a bit peeved that it happened in Glencoe and not Beetham, Mova, Maloney, or Enterprise. And you are the black man that's supposed to espouse policies that would create more equity in the society, trickle-down effects, make sure there's a social blanket, opportunities for education, sport, and culture. You do nothing but you say vote for Rowley, then you come to complain about a crime situation in a state of emergency, under lockdown in a pandemic for 18 months. Mr. Dr. Terence Farrell, it's because of people like you, sir. As intelligent as you are sick. You see, it's because of people like you our country is going down the toilet, that we are floating and breathing and swimming in feces because of people like you, because your brain is useless to our national development, because for whatever reason, whether politics, race, or stupidity or friendship, you support PNM no matter what. So they don't listen to you, they don't utilize your brain. Rather than you support someone else who may listen to you, who may hear your plight, who may read your plans, who may implement what you're saying to ensure that crime is under control, even in an SOE. You support the same people who ignored you, who ignored your brain, who disrespected your ideas, who had you in a position that you had to resign. And now you come to complain, and the only reason that it strikes you is that it happened in a middle class area. Sad how far our black people have fallen, no matter how high their brains get saturated with information. Their hearts remain colonial. No safe space, says the Express. With murders picking up steam over the past month at the rate of 1 to 2 per day, the country is on course to surpass last year's low 393 murders. Last year, we were in shutdown, lockdown, and breakdown from March 22nd. Basically, state of emergency. Lockdown, shutdown, no work, essential workers. And you're all considering that a normal year? The possibility has always existed that it may have had more to do with the border closure. It may have had, the reducing murders may have been due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the closure of the borders and the shutdown of business and so on. It may have expressed. Well, why y'all didn't go and research and tell us what had, or if it had, or what was the truth? Isn't that your job? Well, then do me a favor. Show me the policies from the small pin, what they put in place, what sort of policing, what sort of new CCTV cameras, what sort of DNA testing. Tell me what they did. Tell me what they did across the board. Tell me they increased expenditure in social programs, in education, in opportunities, MIC, NESC centers, laptops, programs, sport, culture, arts. Tell me something that they did that makes you believe that the PNM was fighting crime. You see, you just write nonsense in a newspaper. They did nothing. They cut all the programs that Kamla Prasad Bisesa had to give opportunities. In the hot spots, they come and say we gave children a jersey and carry them in the savannah for an hour. That was a big anti-crime initiative. Where the job opportunities, where the soca, where the music, where the pan, where the arts, where the small businesses, where the entrepreneurs, where the making of companies to give youth men a little chance to make some money. Where's the talent identification? Where's the investment? Where's the netco? Where's the crime fighting? None. But we have pandemic, lockdown, and you all are saying, well, the possibility has always existed that it may have been, the reduction in murders may have been due to the... If this theory holds true, then the country could be in for an escalation of criminal activity. Oh, you'll now realize that elections have consequences. So when Kamla Prasad Bisesa paid money for Selwyn Ryan Committee to do an overall analysis of the hotspots, the opportunities required and so on, and then she told each and every one of her ministers in sport, pump money there, give opportunities, live sport, bring out something, bring opportunities, bring national footballers, cricketers, psychologists, counselors, education, get them opportunities, get them food in the belly. When she gave laptops, increase school feeding, increase building schools, increase the physical infrastructure, got more police cars, more CCTV cameras, invested more, had helicopters, had 10 Dayman vessels around patrolling, created MIC and NESC centers, increased gate for education opportunities, increased small and micro enterprises investment. When Kamla was doing all of that, from all our ministries, attacking crime, did you all do any analysis? Did you say, Rowley come and say, hey, vote for me, because Kamla and them try to kill a reporter? Look the email there. Oh, it's not in my email, a lie. Well done. The CMO, unvaccinated levels still too high to drive infections down. Listen carefully, because if you all listen to this show, you will remember about 9 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, the Guardian editorial was trying to tell me and you, when we were at something like 13% fully vaccinated, that they were sensing and seeing a reduction in infection rates because of the vaccinations. And I said, but at 13% in a population, nowhere in the world is that statistically possible or scientific enough, or is that enough of vaccination to have any effect whatsoever, especially an effect that can be measured. Remember I said that? So we know that was at 13% fully vaccinated. We are 28% fully vaccinated. But here the CMO. Roughly 1 in 2 adults in Trinidad and Tobago have got a shot of COVID. Despite over 400,000 people now fully vaccinated, Chief Medical Officer CMO Dr. Roshan Parasam said yesterday, there are still too many immune-naive people that can continue to drive infections. Right? Honorary PNM. Now, we must also say to this fellow here and to the SWRHA, I don't know, Archie, do you have the voice note from Jayanti and so on? Jayanti Lakshmi Dayal was asked by the Minister of Health to put on a vaccination drive for the Johnson & Johnson. She and the councillor who is behind me in that picture, they went and put it on together. And then it was cancelled. Why was it cancelled? Alrawi, I just have a question for you with tight pants, tight shirt. You went on the train line recently to try and encourage people to get vaccinated down in South in San Fernando West. Alrawi, Al recusal, Al tight pants, Al mascara, Al makeup. And did they run you? Did the fellas them run you out of the Alrawi? I hear you run like a tailboat. But you didn't wear your makeup, so you didn't have mascara to run when you cry. But listen to this. Play Senator Lakshmi Dayal and hear what is going on. They're playing politics with vaccination, with life, with COVID-19. Imagine that. And you all find that's right. Elections have consequences. Listen to this. Run it, Archie.
Well, Anil, as you know, the opposition has been unfairly criticized and falsely accused of trying to sabotage the national vaccination strategy. I was approached by the minister himself and asked to push this vaccine called the JJ1 jab, the Johnson & Johnson 1 jab vaccine. The strategy that they developed was that they would send it out into communities. So they asked if I would assist and push this effort. And I was put in touch with Southwest Regional Health Authority, who liaised with me. They actually suggested the site. I never asked for a vaccine site and I didn't suggest the site. When we started discussing options, they said they were familiar with the Gulfview Community Center and they wanted to know what type of interest they would have in the vaccine. I incorporated and partnered up with Councillor Rishi Balram Singh, who is my councillor in this area. And together we started reaching out into the community to gather what type of response we would get to this vaccine. Having about 50 people expressing interest, we informed Southwest. They did decide to visit at the center. They were very satisfied. They were quite impressed, if I may say so myself, with the setup. And what they said is that if we had interest and didn't want to lose it, we could have the drive this Friday, but we would have to get the volunteers. Councillor Balram Singh and I immediately went to work. We sourced 10 doctors and nurses who would be able to actually administer the vaccine and monitor people afterwards. We got a private ambulance donated for the day. We got lunch donated. We got tents for outside. We got other volunteers to basically run the registration desk and all of that. And we were on our way to having a very successful drive. On Tuesday, unfortunately, without even the courtesy of consulting with us, Southwest Regional said that they were cancelling the drive after all of that planning and effort and work because they decided that on Saturday they would have something set up at Gulf City Mall. We were committed to making sure that this thing got done properly, and I think that the excuses put forward by Southwest Regional Health Authority for cancelling the drive are very poor and they hold little water with me. I believe that there may be some other reason why they decided to do it this way. I could see no reason why a drive that is being run completely by volunteers and would take so little bit of resources from Southwest, and where you had a confirmed interest at the time of over 175, and I can tell you now, between the cancellation on Tuesday and now, the amount of calls and messages Councillor Balram Singh and I have received, we would have crossed 300 people willing to come and take vaccines on that day.
And people still went today because of the Express newspaper and false reporting and so on. So why y'all cutting off vaccination drive? You want to vaccinate to operate? You want to vaccinate? We can't go to the beach if you don't vaccinate. We can't open church if you don't want to vaccinate. If you vaccinate, we want to open bars and restaurants. So y'all saying, here you have a UNC senator and a councillor organizing, helping 300 people coming and planning to vaccinate. And because of politics, is it? Why y'all cancel? Hey, this man, makeup man, did you go down in train line and try and get people vaccinated when 90% of the people in train line in Marabella not vaccinated? And did they run you? Did you run kind of slowly? Kind of run with a hop because the pants was so tight. I hear you get chafed between your legs. Hey, we all a tight pants, all a mascara, all a makeup man. That is the games all you're playing with vaccination. We coming back.
Hot on 2.
And welcome back. And let me tell you something. This government from the start of COVID-19 pandemic in December of 2019, they didn't pay attention, they didn't want to debate, they didn't take advice, they knew nothing, they played games, they played politics. Every decision they made was wrong, the wrong timing. They didn't procure vaccines, they didn't get money out, they didn't stop and protect citizens from foreclosures, they didn't protect people from landlords, they didn't protect landlords from the bank, they didn't produce the systems in place, they kept the borders locked from citizens while the borders were porous all around, and illegal immigrants were coming in and out in every aspect. PCR testing, mass communication, a vaccine education leading to vaccine hesitancy, lack of procurement of vaccines and so on. Every aspect, Rowley and his cabinet failed. It's remarkable that people could be such abject, total, complete failures and still talk with arrogance. Now today we're hearing, we're going to make 50,000 Pfizer available. But the UNC was saying that from early o'clock. You're studying to do all sorts of things except educate people. You're playing games to tell people that it is the same Pfizer. You giving Pfizer for the people. But right here on douglAR Politics, Archie, we told them, Coffee and Doubles, listen, you have 91,000 children between 12 and 18. There is hesitancy. You'll be lucky if you get up to 30,000. So utilize the extra that you have to try to eliminate some of the hesitancy, because people have been researching and they have more confidence in Pfizer than the CIO. Didn't we tell them that, Archie? Well, Rowley is now about 10 days slow. They are so dotish. douglAR Politics could run the cabinet better than all 23 of them put together in a retreat in Tobago. All you feel a lie? Archie, show them what we say long time now. Is 91,000. They have 305,000 doses of Pfizer, which means 150,000 citizens could use Pfizer. That means they have 59,000 extra citizens above the age of 12 to 18 who could be taking Pfizer. But the government refused to share the Pfizer because Rowley feels some of y'all find the Pfizer good. So therefore, you find it good. He telling you that all the brands is the same, and therefore, don't give y'all. This man is playing games with people's lives and is so ignorant. You all heard that? Archie thought it's the wrong video, but it's not. It's the correct one. That's what we said. We said, listen, stop playing games. Yes, some people believe in the Pfizer. Okay. It's not about you to hold a big stick and to stick people and tell them, be angry that they research and they want to do what's best in their opinion for their bodies. That's a democracy. People have the right to choose what they want, whether it's what kind of bread, what kind of beer they want to drink, what road they want to drive on, what kind of car, what kind of clothes, how they want to talk, how they want to dress, where they want their children to go to school. So if people have confidence in a certain vaccine, get the vaccine and get the people. It's not your job to whip the people and abuse the people and buff the people. Furthermore, Rowley kept telling us that, and now, as we said there, right, he now say, well, okay, from tomorrow, Pfizer go share out. And it should have been sharing out long time. trying to get to herd immunity, do whatever it takes to try and get up there. Hesitancy is real. Education is necessary. Communication is necessary. But then he also say, when I tell all you, Rowley tried to pretend to all of you for all the time, because he made us wait for Xiao. He wanted to sign a contract with China. He had him but telling us that the IMF was such terrible prescriptions, that the loan from China was so much easier with less arbitrary prescriptions and so on, and that they were waiting for WHO approval, and that's why we had no vaccines, and we in the back of the line, back of the class, and still last in vaccination. Our vaccination program never got started until May, June, and now there's hesitancy because the gap and the vacuum that was created from lack of education, lack of communication strategy, lack of information, lack of consultation. We under pressure, but Rowley tried to tell we that all the brand is the same. Run it out, let we see.
Keith Christopher Rowley is trying to say and state and hold a position just to hold himself as being intelligent and not stupid. That all the vaccines are exactly the same, and all vaccines, no vaccine labels. In fact, he is suggesting now that he is going to tell the doctors and so on who are injecting vaccines into human beings to take off the label and the branding of the vaccine. Is he insane? Are we living in communist Russia in 1918 to 1940? Is he Stalin? Is he the Italian Mussolini? All the vaccines are not the same. Some use different technology and different science to produce a result, and that needs to be told to the population. Some have different testing results in different numbers and different sample sizes across the globe. Some have different efficacies to the normal COVID, to the Brazilian variant, and to the Delta variant. Others have not been tested yet on the Delta variant because there just isn't time. So every vaccine is different. So don't try to tell us that they're all the same and you're going to take off labels. That is another lie. That is unnecessary.
Trust. Vaccine hesitancy comes from lack of trust. The people of Trinidad and Tobago do not trust Keith Christopher Rowley, Convent Girl Dial Singh, Stuart Smallpin, Tight Pants Al Rawi, Davlin Thomas, Dr. Mariam Abdul, honorary PNM doctorate, Dr. Hines, all trying to play games, so the people lack trust. Therefore, we are in a mess, and just trying to threaten and shout down people will never work, because if you had understood and now you're doing things that the UNC was saying all along and you're finding that you can't go nowhere, now you're deciding to give Pfizer. Look, we was telling you since August 2nd and so on, where the Pfizer, where the vaccines, where the cocktail, where the information. Just remind the people now, because all they like to say UNC and PNM is the same. Well, boy, all you don't make me cuss now. That set of dunce under Rowley. All you really serious? Run it.
The Brazilian variant coming, Keith. Sinopharm, it working? Is it working on that? Is it working on the Delta? You're all stopping people from coming with Pfizer and Moderna. But what is the efficacy of Sinopharm against the Delta that you say might be coming now that you open the borders, Keith? It's not the porous borders, Keith. So all the COVID that come through the porous borders, Keith, and then you invite from the porous borders of Trinidad into Tobago, Keith, and all the people who dead, Keith, who were not vaccinated, Keith, because you didn't give me vaccination. What's the problem, Keith? You're balling, you want to open school in September. Keith, if you get the Pfizer, where the Pfizer? You're getting Pfizer, the whole world get Pfizer from the USA. Great Britain giving out vaccine now. Why we ain't get, Keith? Why you don't go and get from your friend in Iran, in Russia? I mean, you get from China. What about Venezuela? They have none for you. Where the vaccination? How could you vaccinate all those children between now and September? Impossible. You care about people. You love people. You want children to go to school. Keith, give me a flipping chance, eh?
Impossible. Known then. Where we are now, September, we only reached 20,000 out of 91,000. Impossible, because you have no plan, you have no understanding, you have no creativity, you have no thought processes. You're arrogant, you're lying, people don't trust you, you are bound to fail. Elections have consequences, and there you saw it. And then you're talking about the porous borders, and now we're speaking about Delta and talking because they opened the border, the official airport, they feel that is Delta. The Brazilian variant came in through illegal immigrants, through the porous borders. No Coast Guard vessels walking, no diesel, no parts. Stuart Smallpin Young lying about Damon engineers who he signed exemption for them to come when Saddam Hussein catch him in the parliament, lying. No air guard, no radar, no helicopters, no police patrol, no army camps, no jeeps in the night, none of these things, no customs, no duty. Venezuelan fishing vessels still coming into Chagaramas as normal, with Brazilian variant, now with Delta variant, and that's what they're talking about. And I told you all also, when the economy start to open back up, the WhatsApp message is going to go, todo está bien here. Look what happened. Carnage police catch 39 Venezuelans entering TNT illegally. Now for them to be caught by the police mean them reach, because I know the riverine unit of the police that now start to operate. That the police from comment. So they catch them after they hit land. So that meant they came through the porous borders already. Well done to the police. But if you catch 39, well, how many get through? How many get through? 400? 500 for the day? How many of those were tested? None, because you couldn't find them. How many of them have Delta variant? How many of them are interacting with us right now across the board? Because you all think this is a game. Elections have consequences. The country required a security dome, a dome of protection to keep us safe. You all let Rowley laugh about that, and now we in the treasury making all you laugh. And while we talking that, while there's stupidity, there's no vaccination, no education, arrogance, breach of law, unequal treatment before the law, that the PNM could go in a room for hours and hours with 25 of them, but people getting locked up and ticketed for 27 people. You see, the one law for them, one another for y'all. There's also terrible discrimination. And look at this. And I tell to all the Hindu faithful out there, fight for your rights, because this oppression, if you are not Hindu, that does not mean you don't fight. Because if they can do a religion or a religious group that or people and could be so callous, they will come for you. So we must take care of one another. We are a country united. We are a country multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-everything. So look at this video and be careful. If you are Catholic, if you are Muslim, if you are Christian, if you are Risha, if you are Baptist, you should be fighting on behalf of your Hindu brothers and sisters. Run it.
Turns out that we cannot encourage and control the recalcitrant minority.
In this instance, it's Hindus. Then it's going to be the labor force. It's going to be Wasa workers. Then it will be teachers. Then it will be the Christians and the Catholics, the Shouter Baptists. Then it will be those who live in the central and the southland. Then it will be Tobagonians. Don't think when one group is oppressed that you are not a member of that group and you must stay quiet. We must stop staying quiet. Right is right and wrong is wrong. In the words of the Reverend Forbista Chubby David, stop it. Stop it. It's senseless. Discrimination is senseless. Division is senseless. We must put a stop to Keith Christopher Rowley. He's a dictator who utilizes division to stay in power. He is dividing even the PNM. He is dividing our country. He is dividing the religions. He's dividing the races. He's dividing the classes from the haves to the have-nots. He is dividing this place so that we will all crumble. So stand firm, stand together. This is wrong. Good night.
Good morning to the media here present today at the Leader Opposition's office. I want to thank all of you all being here and also the viewers out there this morning. Sorry for running a little bit late, but as you know, the weather, we had some issues with the weather today, so the media was running a little bit behind time, so we apologize for the 10-minute late start. Today I'll be holding a press conference by myself. As you know, I'm the Member of Parliament for Point-a-Pierre, also Deputy Political Leader of the United National Congress. Today is a continuation, as I also shadow the Ministry of Energy in Parliament. Today is a continuation from an article that was written a couple of weeks ago from one of the reporters in the media. And today again it's a continuation of NGC, National Gas Company, and what is really happening in that company over the last 5 to 6 years under the tenure of this PNM administration. And what we saw in the article today, and the headline states, the NGC board wants personal indemnity. The company could lose hundreds of millions of dollars in an ill-fated LNG deal. Now that LNG deal that is mentioned here is about Atlantic Train 1. And there's a history with the Atlantic Train 1 that I will get to in a bit. But the critical point that we want to ask the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Energy, the new Minister of Energy, Minister Stuart Young, why would the NGC board wants to be indemnified from certain dealings that took place or decision-making dealings that took place on that Atlantic Train 1 LNG deal? Now, back in July, you would have seen there was another article where over $200 million was spent on trying to keep Atlantic Train 1 alive by NGC, the National Gas Company. And I had done a release asking for the accountability of where that money went and why that money was being spent on Atlantic Train 1. Now, back in 2019, Atlantic Train 1, which a major shareholder, BPTT, on Atlantic Train 1, had told this government that they had no more gas to fund or to send to Atlantic Train 1. And they did not have the quantity of gas anymore. And during the 2019, one would have recalled that a lot of those downstreamers in Point Lisas were also crying out and shutting down or even mothballing some of their plants due to a shortage of gas, or based on it, and also for the contracts that they were given were very onerous. So 2019, 2018, you started to see in the country, in the Point Lisas industrial estate, a lot of those downstream plants shutting down, whether temporary or permanent. And at the same time, you had Atlantic Train 1, where BPTT was telling the country and the government that we have no more gas to send to Atlantic Train 1. And when we had posed that question to the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Energy in the Parliament about the closure or the lack of gas of BPTT going to Train 1, they made light of it, and they made it into a joke that, why are we complaining? It is just it's just one train, and we have 3 other trains. So today we ask a question. Again, we are asking a question. I'm asking a question. The opposition is asking a question. Why would NGC who is a small player in Atlantic Train 1, a shareholder, want to spend over $400 million in trying to keep Atlantic Train 1 alive when they were told that they had no gas. When they were told by BPTT there was no gas to send to Atlantic Train 1. Now the question was asked by the downstreamers back in 2020 when that decision was taken by NGC to keep Atlantic Train 1 alive and also to divert gas to Atlantic Train 1. There was a great concern by the downstreamers because there is a shortage of gas, and what was being said was that, or they felt, those downstream companies, they felt that the gas that they should be entitled to was going to be channeled to Atlantic Train 1. Now, today we are asking more questions because NGC, which was our cash cow, which was our crown jewel for this country, has been making billions of dollars for the taxpayers and for the country, taxpayers and the government, whichever government was in power. It has now, if you want to remember, in 2020, the ending of 2020, the financial year, they recorded an over $2 billion loss. So, for the first time in the history of NGC, they recorded a loss, which was over $2 billion. Now, I want to get back to the story of indemnification. And the whole indemnification by the board is about the deal that was made and the transaction that was done to keep and spend money on Atlantic Train 1. And from what we have, the information we have, there's a CEO or president who is also on the board called Mark Loquan. Now, when you look at Mr. Mark Loquan's track record at NGC when he took over basically maybe four plus years ago, right? It has been dismal, it has been a failure in our view because NGC under his leadership has been declining rapidly year on year. And we also understand that Mr. Loquan has the ear of certain cabinet ministers. So it is like someone put it to me today, he's running NGC like a bull in a china shop. Now, we are also calling on the chairman of the board of NGC, Mr. Conrad Enel, because we are also aware that Mr. Enel is not, he's not comfortable that what is happening at NGC, especially with that Atlantic Train 1, where millions of dollars are being spent and literally being wasted given the times that the country is going through, where you are literally throwing good money after bad. So we are calling on Mr. Enel to be transparent and come good, because Mr. Enel is not a junior individual. He was a major player in the Manning administration. At one point in time, he served as minister in the Minister of Finance alongside Prime Minister Manning, and also he was also a past Minister of Energy. So he understands the corporate governance. He understands his role as a senior member in the society. So we have a concern that what is happening at NGC under the watch of Mr. Conrad Enel. And I know for a fact that he's not comfortable with what is happening there. So we call on him to come up with some answers. Now, what is really taking place at NGC? Now, we have some information, and I want to say we had brought out this information about indemnification that the board members wanted. In the middle of July, my colleague, Senator Julie John, had a press conference and would have brought that out. But so we are not surprised that it is now being highlighted by the media here today in a certain media forum. So because we have the information, and information is given to us, and we bring it out to the public, so that again, if you listen to the opposition, normally that the people send us information because they are not happy with what is going on in certain state companies. Now, Minister of Finance, Minister Imbert, is responsible for the state organizations as corporation sole. So when NGC and the directors would have asked for indemnification, now they did indemnification in two tranches. So they had spent a certain amount of money first, and they wanted to be indemnified by corporation sole / Minister of Finance, and he gave approval for indemnification from what we have seen in the media. And they have now come back to him and asking for a second indemnification because they have a further set of money to spend, a further, $1 million. So, and they are asking for this indemnification again. And the question has to ask, are other state organizations and other board members who sit on boards on behalf of the government, are they also asking for indemnification from certain transactions that would have taken place under their watch? That is one question I would like the Minister of Finance to come out and tell the country. Or is it he's setting a precedent because there was indemnification given to NGC board members? Is he also setting a precedent that other board members from other state organizations can come to him and ask for indemnification for whatever transactions that they take that happen under their watch and they don't want to be accountable? Now, this whole issue at NGC smells like another Malcolm Jones 2.0 or part 2. And because under Malcolm Jones and the whole debacle about WGTL and the exorbitant wastage of billions of dollars in Petrotrin, now we are seeing in NGC another set of millions of dollars are being wasted from our information and being channeled into Atlantic Train 1, where NGC does not have the gas to send to Atlantic Train 1 to maintain or to keep it profitable. So they have no gas to send to Atlantic Train 1. That's the information we have. Now, the other information that we also have is that Mr. Loquan is really, if you look at the track record of what is happening at the NGC and the whole issue with the downstreamers, one has to ask if the downstreamers, the companies in the downstream Point Lisa's industrial estate, are subtly being pushed out of the industry so that their gas somehow can be channeled to Atlantic Train 1. Because there's millions of dollars that was spent in Atlantic Train 1, over $400 million, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago needs that accountability. Now we are asking for honest answers, and we want some information about those indemnification, because we also understand, based on this whole debacle at Atlantic Train 1 and the decision that was taken by the board of NGC, there are certain subsidiaries that also has a role to play at that NGC and Atlantic Train 1. Certain subsidiaries and the board members of those subsidiaries are senior executives of NGC. And they had also asked, because they were not comfortable with this deal at Atlantic Train 1, and they had asked for indemnification for them to be able to sign off any documents related to the funding that was going to Atlantic Train 1. So we asked the government and we asked the Minister of Energy and the Minister of Finance to give us some explanation from what we have, what is going on in NGC, and do not use the normal words that Minister Dong and the Prime Minister normally use. Be assured that the government will, and I quote, and they like to use this thing that these are sensitive negotiations taking place, and we cannot at this point in time give you the information, but be assured that, and in time, information will come. That is the normal rhetoric that they are now playing to the population over the last few years. When we ask hard questions, when reporters ask hard questions, they try to hide and say, well, it's sensitive right now, and we cannot divulge information at this point in time. But be assured, at some point in time, the information will be shared. And up to date, we are still waiting for that kind of information. And we also asked the decision. There's a lot of questions that we would like to ask. I'm sure also the reporters, what economic decision was taken to get into Atlantic to send to spend over $400 million in Atlantic Train 1? Because we also understand that Mr. Mark Loquan, is running the board. He sits on the board now, and the company doesn't really have a strategic plan. They don't have a vision. They're really running it by VAPs, and we are talking about $1 billion organization that has been a crown jewel for this country for the past years, and in 2020 you now have a $2 billion loss. We also understand that Mr. Lo Kwan, information we have, he's the only one who has oversight of something called a corporate communication budget fund. A corporate communication budget fund that is somewhere between $50 to $100 million. And we also understand that the board members have been asking Mr. Lo Kwan to give an account of how this money is being spent. And they are yet to really get any information how this corporate communication budget fund is being spent. And the only person that has oversight of this is Mr. Mark Lo Kwan, who is the president of NGC. And we also understand that Mr. Lo Kwan contract was renewed recently for another term, and some board members previously had issues even with Mr. Lo Kwan's performance, and we understand that his contract was not even brought to the entire board to be approved. So we ask what is really happening at NGC, and we ask for transparency, we ask for accountability, because NGC has given billions of dollars to this country in dividends and has been able to put back into the country, whether it be infrastructural projects, etc., based on the profitability of NGC, which is dwindling at this point in time. So we really want to find out about Mr. Mark Lo Kwan's, his performance over the years, and why he seems to have this carte blanche in running NGC, and the chairman of NGC, Mr. Anil, is not doing the due diligence that is required on Mr. Mark Lo Kwan and the runaway train that is happening in NGC. Now, this Atlantic LNG train 1 is not going, the opposition is not going to allow it to go away, because we have reporters who are also reporting on it, because it's very I mean, it's an issue that money is being spent, billions of dollars, millions of dollars, and these hard times, and the taxpayers need accountability. So we are asking, are there, in the Atlantic Train 1, are there any thoughts about decommissioning? Because we understand that the Atlantic Train 1, they just don't have the gas, the engine doesn't have the gas to put in it, and we are asking what is going to happen with Atlantic Train 1 after you spend over $400 million in it. What is going to happen with that investment? So there are other investments that are taking place in NGC that has been a failure under Mr. Lo Kwan, and we keep asking why Mr. Lo Kwan is being protected by this present government, and why he is so favored, given that his track record at NGC has been a failure in our view over the last 4 to 5 years. So I come back again, we want to keep this question alive. Why are the board members asking to be indemnified from this failure at Atlantic Train 1 and the money that was spent? Now, even Mr. Mark Lo Kwan, who is part of the decision process, is even asking to be indemnified. So when you ask for indemnification, you are not comfortable with what is taking place with the decision-making process at NGC. So you're asking the board members and the staff who sits on boards and subsidiary boards are asking to be indemnified because they are not comfortable, and they feel that their personal liabilities, they could be held personally liable in future dates to come, future years to come, based on some of the bad decisions that are taking place at NGC at this point in time. And when you look back, before I end, when you look back of what has taken place in the Point Lisa's industrial estate and our energy sector, it really, one has to ask why we had so much issues with the downstreamers, with the issue of contract pricing, and later on I could talk about contract pricing, and I have information about that entire contract pricing that has taken place over the years that has really driven a lot of the downstreamers to either mothball their plants, or even downsize, or even shut down temporarily, and so forth. And we have seen some are shut down permanently. And I also want to put it on record here. There's a plant called Tringen, that what we are told, and I want to put that marker, that Tringen company, I want to put that marker, that Mr. Lokwan, has an issue with Tringen. And I will just leave it at there at this point in time. And also I understand there are some big negotiations taking place with Yara at this point in time. So we will leave it at that point in time in there. So we ask the question, let the Minister of Finance come and explain to the country about this entire indemnification issue that the board members of NGC want. And we also want to know really and truly what is taking place at this national gas company. And I hope, the opposition is hoping that National Gas Company does not become another Petrotrin under the hands of this present PNM administration. So it is time that we stop and account, and the government needs to account to the people of what is taking place in our energy sector, especially at NGC. And I am open for questions at this point in time to the media that are presently here this morning.
Why do you think the board would want indemnity?
Well, that's a good question. Why would the board want indemnity? The board, in our view, that the board would want indemnity is because they are not comfortable with the decisions that are taking place at a board level or even at a managerial level. And they have some concerns about it, and maybe they cannot vocally come out and say it, so that when they ask for indemnification, it protects them from any liable suits that can take place, because this indemnification is what they're asking for is for the government to indemnify them, so that the responsibility now comes on the government if something was to happen and some other administration was formed and they found that some reckless decisions were taking place. So it is the government they are asking to indemnify them. So basically that happens, which we see it has happened. Really and truly, what you are now saying is that you can go and make decisions, and the government will bail you out, and that has never happened before. That's why you see with the Malcolm Jones that the PP government took Malcolm Jones to court because of the wastage of billions of dollars that happened in WGTL in Petrotrin. And by this indemnification, if one was to do a forensic audit on the decision-making process and they found that it was reckless, and advice was being given to the hierarchy not to go down that road of spending millions of dollars in Atlantic Train 1, and the decision was still taken. That is why we feel, that is why certain people are asking for this indemnification.
Okay, and can you say how much money was spent on the NGC on its turnaround?
Well, the numbers are right now between 200 million to 400 million, and and still maybe counting.
I have a question here from Mr. Curtis Williams from Guardian Media. Is it time for Mr. Lokwan to go in the eyes of the opposition UNC?
I would call on the resignation of Mr. Lokwan because firstly, we understand that Mr. Lokwan's contract was renewed recently without entire board oversight, and Mr. Lokwan's contract or his performance over the years since he became president of the NGC has been a failure. Now, Mr. Lokwan, from what we understand, is a very good procurement individual. That was his specialty when he was at Yara. He's now running a $1 billion company that gives dividends, healthy dividends to this country. And Mr. Lokwan's performance has been a failure in the opposition view, and it's time that Mr. Lokwan resign.
Do you think the NGC will have gas to keep the Atlantic Train 1 functioning?
Well, the gas issue with Atlantic Train 1, where BPTT, who is a major shareholder, said that they do not have gas to send to Train 1 anymore. NGC took up that mantle, and what is happening now, really and truly, after spending close to $400 million, the facts are there that NGC does not have the gas to send to Atlantic Train 1. So the question we are asking, is Atlantic Train 1 from NGC to send gas to Atlantic Train 1, are they going to shut down and make contracts so onerous with the downstreamers that they close up shop and then they get this gas to send to Atlantic Train 1, which is not financially feasible because the country has always depended on the downstreamers. When they make money, the country makes money in all sorts of ways. They create job employment. A lot of job employment comes out of the downstreamers. So if that decision was done by an NGC executive, maybe that is the reason they know it's a bad decision, and that is why they are asking for indemnification.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. No more questions. I want to thank the media for coming here today, and stay tuned for our Sunday press conference at our normal Sunday at the Leader of the Opposition office. I thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.